Russo runs a break. Caldwell Pope goes to the wing here. James! Oh!
Trying to play at the defensive end. Got blown by back.
Oh, yes!
Hook jam!
Harden step back. Puts up the three. Got hit. Shot's good! And one!
Practice time here, Seth.
Oh! Russell Westbrook!
Exciting time in terms of basketball, because as we see, the basketball season is set to resume 1 month from now, actually on July 30th in Orlando. The Indiana Pacers, which is a team that you cover, as you mentioned, is going down there. There was some concerns, as we can go ahead and get straight into the topics, of Malcolm Brogdon, who was one of the players who tested positive for the coronavirus. And he's, from what I've seen, he's on the fence of going down there, but he wants to go down there with the team. Last time I checked, I guess they were supposed to report down there on July 1st, but they're still going through and figuring things out. And he's not the only player, as at least 5% of the NBA have tested positive for coronavirus, and it kind of grows a little bit. As it came out yesterday, DeAndre Jordan and Spencer Dinwiddie of the Nets both tested positive for the coronavirus, but it's still a relatively low percentage compared to the entire NBA pool. Adam Silver has came out and said that if a significant spread of the virus was to take place during the resumed play, that the league will shut down. Some of the players included that have tested positive for coronavirus are Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, which will be a very crucial hit if he doesn't play, Buddy Hield and Jabari Parker of the Sacramento Kings, and Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns. So, Eddie, with all of this going on, with some players already tested positive for the coronavirus, how do you see this affecting some teams? As I mentioned, Malcolm Brogdon, starting point guard for Indiana Pacers. He's a very important piece to the team and their play style. How do you see the test and the coronavirus pandemic affecting players, say, if it were to take out some teams, especially during playoff contention?
Yeah, I mean, it could dramatically impact the team's performance. It's similar to an injury, right? So they're treating it as an injury. So if someone comes down with the coronavirus, they're going to be isolated from the team, and obviously can't participate in practices and games and so on and so forth. So you view it in that respect as an injury as it pertains to NBA basketball teams. And if you're out if you're without multiple players or one of your key players, it's definitely going to have a dramatic impact on how you perform and what your ceiling may be. So I think the NBA has done a good job of tracking the entire progress or lack thereof of the coronavirus, and also what they're trying to do to mitigate some risk for the teams. It's definitely going to be something that they'll pay close attention to. And again, if guys on the team start to come away with this virus in dramatic numbers, we will be in danger of a shutdown, as Adam Silver suggested.
Yeah, I think the NBA has been doing a great job, at least in administering how to come back and restart the league amidst these times, I should say. I think with them going with the bubble situation in Orlando was a great idea, because with them being in such closed environment, say if, as we see now, more players test positive, they're able to isolate it and stop the virus from spreading. And I think it's kind of a safe place for these players to go. We see some players like a Trevor Ariza or Avery Bradley or Wilson Chandler or David Bertans of the Wizards all back out of the NBA resume play, because whether they feel they are uncomfortable going back or they want to tend to family business. In Avery Bradley's case, he has a 6-year-old son with a history of respiratory issues, so he doesn't want to go ahead and put him at risk by playing. So I think the NBA so far is doing a great job in administering. What I think it will become more of an issue, as let's say someone like a superhuman like LeBron James catches it. How would that affect their play? Like the Lakers going to the playoffs, and has he's been a main advocate for the season to continue to go on and to push forward and resume play? How would I'd say a big player to a LeBron James for the Lakers or James Harden to the Rockets, how do you see is say if they get tested positive, how would that affect their playoff chances and championship contention?
Yeah, if one of those guys and goes down, and again, it's probably would apply to any of the teams. If you take one of their main pieces out of the equation, it's going to dramatically affect what they do. A guy like LeBron, for example, they're one of the finals favorites. If he goes out on that team, those odds probably going to decrease dramatically. So Just treating it like an injury is the way I view it, as far as how it pertains to the NBA season and teams playing games. If anyone sustains an injury, sustains coronavirus, they're going to be not able to play. They won't be with their team. So in that case, their finals chances will definitely decrease. And it goes right down the line for any team. There's guys in their starting lineup playing 35, 40 minutes a game. If that guy is not in the equation, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, like Avery Bradley to the Lakers, who was a crucial part to the Lakers' offense and defense, especially. He has, like I said, he does not want to return with the team for the season restart, as I mentioned earlier, because of the 6-year-old son's history with respiratory issues. But he will be placed by LeBron's one of his favorite teammates, I like to joke around and say, J.R. Smith. How do you feel like this dynamic with J.R. Smith returning with LeBron James? I mean, the last time we seen them play with each other, the whole, that's where the meme was birthplace of J.R. Smith confused the shot clock and the score, thinking that the Cavs had the lead, and many people get on him for that. How do you see this new dynamic with J.R. Smith taking Avery Bradley's spot on the Lakers? How would that affect the play of the Lakers going for a title?
It's going to be interesting to see because, first of all, J.R. Smith has been out of the league for some time now.
Yes.
I believe he hadn't been in the league since 2018, so he's missed obviously this entire season. Hasn't been on a roster, so getting thrown back into the fire, especially in a playoff environment. This is an environment that we've never seen before, having to go down into the proverbial bubble down in Orlando. So there's a lot of new circumstances already for everyone, but it's even more new for J.R. Smith because he hasn't been in the league. You'll wonder what his condition is going to be like. NBA rhythm, all of those things really have some value in him, and he's been missing out on those. But in terms of their potential, you look back at their history together, they definitely had some success together, with the exception of that one particular play where J.R. Smith was, he wasn't in tune to what was going on in the game, time, clock.
Too much of that hand dog.
Exactly. So, so clearly LeBron has forgiven him for that blunder. We all make some mistakes out there, and that was a crucial one at a crucial time. But it happened. So anyway, I think aside from that, they definitely had a lot of success together. I think J.R. Smith, from what he's done in the league, especially at that time, being able to knock down shots, guard wings on the opposite end, he definitely, if he can get back to that level of play rapidly, he can definitely fill those shoes of Avery Bradley. And I think Avery has done a great job for the Lakers throughout this season, but J.R. Smith is more than capable of fulfilling that role.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to as well. J.R. Smith has improved as a defender in his later years in his career. We all know J.R. Smith to be a typical volume shooter. Some nights he'll have one of the hottest nights you'll ever see. Some nights he'll just be going on cold streaks. So I think he'll do a great replacement for Avery Bradley. But where Avery Bradley beats J.R. Smith, as I said earlier, he's a better defender. But J.R. Smith, he's a good defender in his own right. With that being said, with the Lakers losing a player in Avery Bradley, but getting J.R. Smith, how do you feel their title opportunity is going to be this upcoming season? Because many have said that it was either going to be them, the Clippers, or the Bucks. Do you still have the Lakers as a favorite, or do you have somebody else as a favorite to win the championship this year?
I think you still got to put them as a favorite from my personal standpoint. They got to be looked at as a favorite. You got LeBron and Anthony Davis and those other guys around them. I think they've played well together throughout the season and demonstrated that they should be contenders. Avery Bradley has filled that role really well as a guy who can lock down on the defensive end and very capable offensively. The cohesiveness without J.R. Smith is not there as of right now because he hasn't been there throughout the season. But I think guys are smart enough, high basketball IQs. He knows where he needs to be, especially when you have a team that's led by LeBron James. He's going to dominate the basketball for the majority of the time and really orchestrate that whole offense. So I think J.R. Smith will eventually be able to get in the rhythm with that team just based on the fact that it's led by LeBron James.
So you got the Lakers win the championship still.
I do. Yeah. If you made me pick one, I would still have them as the favorite. But having said that, I wouldn't be surprised if they were knocked off by someone. I don't think that they're head and shoulders above everyone. But if you made me pick a favorite, I'd call them as the favorite.
I might disagree with you on that. I think the Clippers still got it, given they haven't lost any players. I still think that they have the depth. I still think they have the cohesiveness, the grit of that team just together. You got Big Y, as I call him, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. You have Pat Bev. You have Montrez, Lou Will, all those boys. They also acquired Reggie Jackson, as we've seen before the season was coming to a halt, and Marcus Morris, which is two good additions for that team. And they also still have Landry Shamet, who is a great pickup that they got last season for a trade. I still think the Clippers going to be able to win it. Maybe that's just me hating on Laker Nation, as I argue with my friend all the time, but I just think they're going to win it. Maybe the Bucks, but who's to say?